Hey, hi, yeah, so hey, it's me, Andros. Yeah, so quick recording. So basically, recently I've been busy with a lot of stuff. Basically, school, please kill me. And I made a video first at school. So, it, I'm gonna upload it. New video coming out never. I love you. Bye. Mwah.
Hi, I read a book called Make Your Bed Little Things That Can Change Your Life and Maybe the World over the summer, and now I'm going to talk about it. The book is 10 chapters, with each chapter being about a lesson that Admiral William H. McCraven learned in his time in the military. So we'll discuss the book lesson by lesson. Let's get into it. The first introductory lesson starts off by giving the readers a small but important lesson. It preaches that beginning the day by making your bed is a small domino effect that can change the outcome of your day. Why? Well, starting off the day by making your bed gives you a small sense of pride that improves your mood and lasts throughout the whole day. It also provides a small sense of comfort, as it's one of the little things you can control throughout the day. The Admiral gives us insight into how making his bed helped him cope with awful situations throughout his life, whether that was going through SEAL training or when he was stuck in bed for months after an awful accident. In these situations, making his bed gave him control in an uncontrollable situation and improved his mood. The second lesson is all about teamwork and how we can't do anything alone. Throughout life, obstacles and challenges will be thrown your way, things that could bring you down, but it all becomes much easier with friends and family who can help you move forward and overcome problems. The more people you have who've got your back, the easier it is. The Admiral conveys this to us through two stories, one from during his SEAL training and one from his military career. In his training story, he talks about how every single day during training, he and the other trainees would have to carry a raft every single day. It became tiring for all of them, but they worked together through the hardships, as when any of them were weak due to fatigue, sickness, or injury, the others would work harder in order to help their fellow weak trainee. None of them could have done that alone. In the second story, the Admiral talks about an accident that occurred to him while on a parachute mission. He got gravely hurt, and his career was in jeopardy due to his injuries. But his friends and family helped him get through the hardships, and he overcame the injury and continued his long and prosperous military career. The third lesson of the book is all about how people shouldn't be judged based on their outward appearance. The grit and determination that you have towards achieving something matters way more than natural talent, no matter your race, gender identity, sexual preference, etc. All that matters is, in the words of the Admiral himself, the size of your heart. He tells the readers about a time in SEAL training when one of his fellow trainees, who was quite short, was yelled at by the instructor, telling him that he should quit, as he wasn't SEAL material. But the trainee persisted, soon becoming one of the best in his class. He also tells us a story from before SEAL training. He had arrived at Coronado, California, a few months before his training began, to talk to one of the administrators of the program about joining it. In the waiting room, McCraven came across a seemingly small and frail man. He thought the man also wanted to talk about the administrators about joining SEAL training, and the Admiral thought the man would not make it. As it turned out, the man was actually a Vietnam veteran, one awarded the Medal of Valor for his bravery and service, known throughout the military as one of the best there was. The fourth lesson the Admiral decides to teach us is about life and its unfairness. The world is a tough, scary place. It isn't easy to navigate, and you will often feel like you're being kicked down by everything around you. But you have to keep moving forward. This is what the Admiral wants us to understand. You have to keep moving forward and get over life being as unfair as it is. Otherwise, you'll never accomplish anything. The first story this time is once again from SEAL training. Whenever you weren't up to standard at SEAL training, you were forced to run into the ocean at the beach, fully clothed, and get sand all over your body. And you would remain this way for the rest of the day. This was called, quote-unquote, being a sugar cookie. And this is a way to teach students to, in the words of the Admiral, get over being a sugar cookie and move on. The second story is not about the Admiral, but rather one of his closest friends, Lieutenant Moki Martin. Moki was riding his bike one day when he accidentally collided with another bike. The accident paralyzed his legs and left little mobility in his arms. But during this horrible time, Moki never complained, and he later became an accomplished painter. Life dealt him a tough hand, but he got over it and succeeded again nonetheless. The fifth lesson is all about failure. The Admiral is telling us not to fear failure, as eventually we will fail. Failure is inevitable, but you can't let failure bring you down. You have to embrace it and grow from it. If you embrace failure, you will become better and fail less consistently. The training story this time centers around swimming. and how the Admiral was just no good at it back then. The Admiral and his partner would come last at the swimming test almost every single day, and due to this failure, they were in the circus almost every single day. The circus was an extra 2 hours of calisthenics to those who didn't measure up for the day. No one wanted to go to the circus. Eventually, due to the extra calisthenics that the Admiral and his partner had, they got better, and they later blew past the other trainees with ease. Failure made them better. The second story was about a dark time in the Admiral's career, in which he was fired from leading a SEAL squadron for changing the squadron's formation. He thought his career was over, but luckily, he had just been slightly demoted. The failure improved his leadership skills, and he reclimbed the ladder of the Navy SEALs, and eventually commanded all the SEALs on the west coast of the United States. The sixth lesson revolves around risk-taking and how important taking risks is. To make a change in life, sometimes you have to take calculated risks. Otherwise, things will always be the same and nothing will change. The training story is about a time when the Admiral repeatedly did the same obstacle course over and over again, always finishing with a disappointing time. Why was that? Because he never took any risks. So one day, when he dove down the obstacles head first, he beat his personal best by a wide margin. The second story is about a hostage situation in Iraq in 2004. A group of terrorists were holding 3 hostages, and they were going to either be moved out of the known location or they were going to be killed. Usually, rescue missions are held at nighttime in an effort to surprise the enemy, but the hostages were going to be moved soon, so they needed to try to rescue them during the day and not surprise the terrorists, or wait until night to possibly find the hostages had been moved. They decided to take a risk and pursue the mission during the day, which proved to be the right choice as they rescued the hostages and arrested the terrorists. For the 7th lesson, the Admiral tells us about bullies. Bullies are a regular occurrence in life, no matter if you're in school, the workplace, or otherwise. They will try to stop you, to belittle you, to make you as small as possible. You have to stand up to them. Otherwise, they win. The Admiral tells us 2 stories about bullies in his life. The first took place, like many others do, during his training. To complete SEAL training, the trainees have to swim a long distance in the San Diego water. The catch? The water was infested with sharks. The trainees were instructed to punch a shark in the face if it started approaching them. Otherwise, they'd be toast. The sharks are meant to scare you, to make you back down from training, to make you quit. The ones who didn't quit learned to stand up to bullies and move forward. The second story involves Saddam Hussein, the former president of Iraq, being in the custody of the United States. Hussein was the textbook definition of a bully. He was a dictator who ruled over Iraq with an iron fist. He and his political party personally murdered tens of thousands of people who were against him and his ideals, and corrupted Iraq to a boiling point. Even in custody, Hussein made everyone uncomfortable and afraid of him, due to his devilish smirk and his calm demeanor. The Admiral was in charge of keeping the dictator in custody for over a month, and despite Hussein's multiple attempts to break him, he didn't crack, and the evil dictator was brought to justice. The 8th lesson is about how we need to rise to the occasion when things are bleak. Everyone experiences dark moments occasionally, but when they hit, you must dig deep within yourself and be the strongest you can be. Be your best during your worst. The first story is about the trainees learning how to scuba dive underneath submarines for remote missions. The Admiral describes how stressful it is, but at least as you're swimming deeper and deeper, you feel comfort knowing that there is still light above you. But once you're underneath the submarine, there is no light left, and you can't see your own hand in front of your face. You have to try to stay calm and be your best self when you're underneath a submarine. The second story is all about the heroic ultimate sacrifices made by soldiers and how their families must stay strong during those times of sorrowful mourning. The 9th lesson is about hope. Hope is the most powerful thing in the world. Hope can get anyone through anything. It spreads quickly, and it only takes one person to inspire many. The first story in this chapter is about the toughest day in all of SEAL training. After nearly 3 days without sleep, constant physical and mental harassment, and ridiculously tough calisthenics, the trainees are taken to the Tijuana mudflaps. Imagine a desert, but instead of sand, it's freezing wet mud, and instead of awful heat, it's hypothermic cold. The trainees have to try to survive this test of the human spirit for 18 hours straight. Some of the trainees were considering quitting right then and there, but then one of the trainees started singing. Not very well, but he started singing. Soon, everyone joined in, and despite the threats from the instructor to give them more time in the mud if they kept singing, they ignored him and kept singing. The second story is much bleaker, as it takes place at a funeral, honoring soldiers who died on the battlefield. All the families of the fallen soldiers were struck with sorrow and grief, nearly inconsolable. But one man was spreading hope and consolation across the room, Lieutenant John Kelly. The Admiral describes him as being a beacon of light across the room, making everyone feel better as he talked to them. In the end, he had talked to everyone in that room, and made a big difference, simply by spreading hope. After all the lessons we have learned throughout the book, we have reached the final lesson. The final lesson, ironically, is about quitting. Life is hard, really hard, but no matter what, you have to keep going. Never give up on your dreams, on people, on life. Don't give up. The second to last story in the book takes place right at the beginning of the Admiral's SEAL training. He talked about the instructor welcoming them to the program and informing them how difficult it'll be to get through. But he tells the fresh trainees that there is a small bell that you could ring. If you ringed it 3 times, it would mean that you had quit training. There were 150 men that day, and when graduation came, only 33 were left. They quit. They took the easy way out. But I'm sure that they know to this day that it was a mistake to quit. The second story was about a man named Adam Bates. He was a 19-year-old soldier in Vietnam who, on his first day on the field, stepped on a landmine and had to get his legs amputated. The Admiral went to visit the young man at the hospital, who, despite the awful, horrifying situation that he was in, was desperate not to give up and get back on the field. A few years later, the Admiral found him teasing the other soldiers by showing them that he could do more pull-ups than them with his new prosthetic legs. Bates could have rung the bell, given up completely, and no one would have blamed him. Life dealt him an awful hand, but he didn't give up. He moved on and continued to prosper. So, in conclusion, Make Your Bed is a pretty great book. The lessons it teaches are vital for living a good and prosperous life, and I, for one, vastly enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching.